Drake's deck, and Arilocks is running Jeskai Control. So we saw the Drake's deck kind of get under the control deck a couple of times so far this weekend. So we'll see if Owen can get it done again here in round 12.
One card that is very strong on both sides of this matchup is Niv Mizzet Perrin. And Arilocks has 3 in his main deck, whereas Owen only has access to them after sideboarding.
Okay. There's a look at Niv Mizzet on your screen. Certainly a very, very powerful card.
Yeah, we now have 3 incarnations of Niv Mizzet, and each one sort of outdoes the last in terms of how ridiculous it is.
Radical idea for Owen here at the end of Lax's turn. Chart a course now, and that is going to get negated. Talk a little bit about why we use a counterspell there.
Well, a lot of Owen's best threats in game 1 are are creatures anyway. So it's not like Ari is saving the negate for anything in particular.
Okay.
He would rather just take his spot, use his mana when he can, stymie Owen's development a little bit, and then that'll free him up to use his mana later on things like this, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria.
All right, so there's a Teferi and a plus Crackling Drake the previous turn there for Owen.
So Ari really showing no fear. Owen should expect a removal spell like a Seal Away or a Justice Strike.
There's Goblin Electromancer first for Owen. Radical idea paying just the discounted price of a single blue. Make that 2 radical ideas here. And there's a Justice Strike that you talked about, Reed, taking down the Crackling Drake. So now we've got just the Electromancer and a pass from Owen Turtenwald. So how bad is this for Owen now with that Teferi sitting there plussing?
It is an absolute disaster. A player untapping with Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, wins the game a tremendous portion of the time. And Arilocks here with 18 points of life, a stable board, Teferi on 6, and a stocked hand. Owen's going to have to do something really special to win here, and it's probably going to have to involve multiple Arclight Phoenixes.
Deafening Clarion able to take out the Goblin Electromancer. Last turn from Arilocks. Chart a course here from Owen. That's good. Draw 2. We'll see what we discard. It's just a land. Crackling Drake for Owen. Ari's going to take a little bit of a think. Lets it happen. Owen draws a card. Chemister's Insight, end of turn for Lax. And Lax here pretty well set up with the jump start available on that Chemister's Insight. Teferi on 6, a stocked hand, and 5 mana.
So he is going to want to prioritize answering this Crackling Drake. If he doesn't have a way to do it in his hand, he might use Teferi's -3 ability, but he's got a lot of cards available to him, and he's going to survey his options.
Crackling Drake is the first play here for Lax. Draws a card, finds another land. Counting up Owen's instants and sorceries for his Crackling Drake power. Teferi plus up to 7. Draws his card. Untaps. And back over to Turtenwald.
A well-played turn by Ari, well-sequenced, now leaving himself with a blocker and 4 mana available in case Owen has any tricks.
Goblin Electromancer, the first play for Owen. We're going to jumpstart that radical idea, put a Phoenix into the yard. Do it again. This time a land is pitched. Draw. Another land, 1 mana here for Lava Coil on Lax's Drake.
So a big turn from Owen. He's going to bring back his Arclight Phoenix, take out the blocker, but it depends what Ari has here. Is it going to be Settle the Wreckage? Is it going to be 1 or more removal spells?
Feel like he does have a Settle in hand. And there's Crackling Drake Urk-like Phoenix swinging on in and settle the wreckage. It is indeed from Arilocks.
Owen shocks his own Arclight Phoenix. He would rather have that in the graveyard than in exile.
Important point there. Going to find a couple of lands here. Or excuse me, one because of the death of the Phoenix. And there's Niv Mizzet from Arilocks. Big Bad Dragon hitting the table here. Really dominating in a spot already where Ari was pretty well ahead. Teferi up to 8.
Looks like Ari dealt the damage to Owen.
Land and a pass from Lax here over to Turtenwald. Plays a land, says go.
And there's no way Owen's coming back
No.
from this. Ari can just begin his turn by making an emblem with Teferi.
There it is. And Owen has seen enough here, scoops up his cards. That is Arilocks taking down game number 1 here versus Owen Turtenwald. So Jeskai fully taking control of that game over Izzet Drakes. We'll see if Owen can get in a little bit faster this time around, under the radar, as it were, of Jeskai control. Kicking things off here with a Discovery. Beacon Bolt and Ral into the graveyard.
Looks to me like Owen is looking for land drops here, bidding Ral Izzet Viceroy, which is one of his more powerful cards in the matchup. But things are going to change a bit after sideboarding and perhaps get better for Owen now that he can bring in a couple well-placed permission spells, stuff like Ral and Niv Mizzet of his own.
Finds land number 4 here from a Radical Idea. Says go. There's an opt for Ari. What's best case scenario here at this point for Owen? Who's going to actually negate this opt?
Yeah, wow, that's impressive. So again, we've talked about this play of negating cantrips. And a lot of times what it signals is that a player is planning on tapping out sometime soon. So rather than tap out and not be able to use your negate anyway, you would rather spend your mana, use it to prevent the opponent from sculpting their hand and setting up. And then you take your window a little bit later to resolve something like Ral or the Mirari Conjecture or Niv Mizzet, whatever it might be.
So that was a negate fight over that opt. In the end, Arilocks won. Was able to scry and draw. Back over to Owen Turtenwald. And there's Crackling Drake. And Arilocks cannot ionize it quickly enough. It's countered. Owen down to 18. Crackling Drake of his own here for Lax. Draws a card. Finds land number 5 and passes a turn. Here's an opt for Owen, end of Ari's turn. Critical turn here for Owen, right?
Critical turn, yeah. The shields are down from Ari. He's got to make something happen. Notably, Arilocks with no white mana, so he was unable to deploy Teferi, Hero of Dominaria that turn. But it's only a matter of time.
6 mana here for Owen Turtenwald. Mirari Conjecture is in hand. Very interesting and powerful spell. It's a bit unique to his build. Here's Crackling Drake, draws a card. It's a mountain, passes the turn back. So Dueling Drakes here on the battlefield as it stands.
There, Ari finding untapped white mana in the form of Clifftop Retreat. But perhaps not wanting to deploy Teferi in the face of possible counter magic.
Lava Coil here from Lax. Negate from Turtenwald. So has he bled him of enough permission spells?
Seems that way.
Yeah. The Drake lives. Search for Azcanta is the play for Arilocks. And there's that Clifftop Retreat.
And part of the reason Ari chose to play his turn that way is that he now, as a backup plan, he didn't get to kill the opposing Crackling Drake, but he did make his own Drake a 4-power creature, so they can trade now instead of just chump blocking.
And there is the Mirari conjecture from Owen. Turtenwald figures the course is clear. Take a look there. Chapter 1, you can return instants 2 sorceries, 3 copy spells.
Yeah, this is really nice for Owen, picking up the negate at the crucial 7 mana mark, so he can now protect against a Teferi or anything that Ari might try to cast this turn.
All right, we'll see what Ari likes or doesn't like off of his search here. Pretty interesting game so far.
Yeah, very interesting. This is still pretty close. I do like Owen's position, having just picked up the negate when it seems that Ari is probably out of counter magic. And then the Mirari conjecture is a very serious threat, threatening to go off Chapter 3 and fill Owen's hand with doubled up cantrip spells.
Ixalan's Binding into the graveyard for Arilocks.
Ooh, and don't forget, Owen headbinned a Beacon Bolt early on with Discovery Dispersal, so that can
that's
answer
true.
Crackling Drake if he ever needs to attack his opponent's life total or a Planeswalker.
Chapter 2 here on the conjecture. He's going to get that Beacon Bolt back into hand and immediately fire it off here on the Drake. Drake down. And there's Seal Away from Arilocks on the attacking Crackling Drake from Owen's side of the table.
So we know Owen has access to negate, but will he pull the trigger or will he let it go? Owen going to be keenly aware of Ari's white mana situation. If he counters this, there's not going to be a second Seal Away. Not this turn, at least.
So Owen letting it resolve.
All right, so both players now with their powerful card advantage permanent. Ari can activate that as Kanta the Sunken Ruin every turn. Owen with Mirari Conjecture coming off next turn. Who has to make the first move? Who can resolve something else powerful?
Arilocks currently up a game over Owen Turtenwald here in round 12 of Grand Prix Milwaukee. Critical match for both players, as a loss here would knock them out of top 8 contention. Teferi, says Arilocks. And it's going to be good. So why do you think Owen let this happen?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm not. I wonder what Owen's plan is, if he's doing something else with his mana or if he has a different way to answer this Teferi.
Blink of an eye. Okay. No kicker, just the bounce.
And it's going to resolve.
All right. So Drake back onto the table. Seal Away back into Lax's hand. Oh, sorry, excuse me, it was kicked.
So now Owen's going to double all his spells. The Seal Away can come back down. Owen can double negate it, which means he'll put the pressure on Ari to have a second removal spell if he wants to protect his Teferi.
Chart a course.
Draw 4, discard 2.
Nice.
There you see the original Mirari. Of course, Mirari Conjecture being a throwback. That very famous, iconic card.
Goblin Electromancer here for Owen. Chart a course.
Awesome turn
This
for
is
Owen
great.
here. So this is he's picked up 9 cards off the top of his library already this turn. 2 Phoenixes hit the bin. 1 more spell is going to bring them both back. He has negate to make sure Ari doesn't have Settle the Wreckage, so he will be able to get this Teferi off the battlefield this turn.
There's Opt, and that'll do it. Oh yeah, 2 scries and 2 draws. I love it. Likes them both. Ooh, it's another Phoenix. Can he get rid of it? He sure can. There's Jumpstart on Radical Idea. Phoenix number 3 into the graveyard. Draw 2.
I almost can't believe this, Maria. We have a player resolving and taking Teferi Hero of Dominaria, but Owen with his Mirari Conjecture just completely outclassing it.
Yeah, this is definitely sweet. This has been a great game. 3 Arclight Phoenixes back from the dead onto the battlefield for Owen Turtenwald here. Negate in hand, in come the Phoenixes, in comes the giant Crackling Drake.
So keeping in mind, 2 white mana for Ari. We know about the Seal Away. Owen could counter it, but he might be a little more conservative. Down goes Teferi.
Sick. Seal Away takes care of the Drake. Teferi, as you said, falls to the attack. There's Cleansing Nova. Take a look there. You can destroy all creatures or all artifacts and enchantments.
But only a temporary answer. It would put the Phoenixes back in the graveyard, and Owen, having just picked up so many new cards, you got to figure he can return them pretty much at will.
Drake here for Lax. Yeah, I gotta say the Mirari Conjectures look super sweet in all the games we've seen it in play.
Yeah, I think it's really nice in these control matchups. But Lyra Dawnbringer doing a great job stabilizing against these Phoenixes. Will Owen have an answer? I guess he still has that Beacon Bolt in the graveyard.
Yeah, stacked hand too. Two cards in hand left for Lax. Electromancer here making everything a Black Friday sale for Owen Turtenwald. Ooh, let's get some more value. How about this Murmuring Mystic? And there's the Beacon Bolt on Lyra. Down she goes. There's a bird token for Turtenwald. And we're going to jumpstart to get the Drake.
So you have to figure now that Ari is pulling the trigger on Cleansing Nova. But it's 11 plus 9 is very convenient for Owen. So if Ari has nothing besides the Cleansing Nova and Owen is able to return the 3 Phoenixes, that's lights out.
We're going to take a peek here at what Ari's going to do. First things first is Chemister's Insight. And there's Cleansing Nova.
130 modern players. Your parents
Game 3.
Round 1 are being
We are all even up here. Owen Turtenwald and Arilocks tied up.
Please make your way to the Black Gathering Point.
We'll see if we can have some kind of spectacular finish like that again. Owen Turtenwald kicking it off with the Goblin Electromancer here.
And I appreciate both of these guys playing at a brisk pace. They played 2 pretty long, complicated games, still going to Game 3 with plenty of time on the clock.
The story of that last game, too, a little bit, was the patience of Owen Turtenwald on several different occasions, especially with that negate at the end.
Yeah, exactly. We saw him return that several turns prior, never pulled the trigger, even in the face of Teferi, in the face of Seal Away on his Crackling Drake, and then finally pulling the trigger only on the Cleansing Nova that would have saved Arilocks.
Okay, well, here we are in game number 3. Crackling Drake for Arilocks here draws a card. Owen Turtenwald opt here end of turn. And a Drake of his own. Draws and passes back over to Ari. Is it a bit weird to see a card like Crackling Drake in a Jeskai control deck?
A little bit, although Crackling Drake is just such a powerful card. You know, if you think back to the early days of Magic, people spent 5 mana on a 4/4 flying, and they were happy to do it. And now we have one for a discounted price, and you get to cantrip when you cast it. It's just so powerful. It's almost like a free roll as long as you're not getting punished too much. Wow, look at this.
Ooh, entrancing melody from Owen Turtenwald on this crackling Drake, but it's going to get ionized. These entrancing melodies, too, kind of a little bit of an innovation as well.
Interesting to see Owen having that after sideboarding against Jeskai. Perhaps just a reaction to Ari's particular list with the Crackling Drakes and the Niv Mizzets. Lyra Dawnbringer as well.
This Kanta bins and opt. An attack there from Turtenwald knocked Lax down to 16. Plays the land, passes over to Owen. I see Ral in hand. And you mentioned that's can be one of the breakers here in this match if he's able to stick it.
So one thing we might see Owen do is attack with Crackling Drake. No.
Ooh, Niv Mizzet.
He's got different plans.
Can't counter that. Ari here taking a minute to think about what's on top of his library and if he wants it or not.
Ari must find an answer to Niv Mizzet. You have to think if Owen Turtenwald is able to untap with his dragon and unload his handful of spells, it's going to be too much for Arilocks to contend with.
All right, and here we go. Arilocks had no play. He binned his own Niv Mizzet on that turn. Back over to Turtenwald. We could see some fireworks here. Discovery. Everything so cheap because of the Electromancer as well. So much advantage, card advantage, ping you. Or your creatures.
Boy, and Owen's sideboard plan just really coming in big here. He didn't win with Phoenixes and Drakes. He won with Niv Mizzet, Mirari Conjecture. He's got Ral still waiting in hand. So his transformative sideboard out-controlling the control player.
Wow. And you mentioned that was one of the reasons he wanted to play this deck.
Definitely.
Mirari Conjecture in hand too. All the toys. Chart a course.
Chart a course with Niv Mizzet. Draw 3, discard 1.
Oh. So sick.
Lightning bolt something while you're at it.
Yeah, might as well. Throw away this land. Sure, why not? And yeah, that is going to be enough. Arilocks extends the hand. Owen Turtenwald takes down that match 2-1 with his Is It Drake's deck over Jeskai Control. What were the keys to that matchup, Reed?
Well, I really have to name it as Owen's sideboard cards. Niv Mizzet, the Mirari Conjecture, and in particular the careful navigation, the patience with negate, each player trying to identify what the most important moments, turns, and spells were going to be in the matchup. It's not easy. It's hard to name any like heuristic for the matchup that's going to be true every single time. It's
Sure.
more about just navigating carefully and lining up your spells as best you can against whatever the opponent has.
So does Owen just have one Mirari Conjecture? We're going to head to more time walk matches, but I'm just interested to know the answer to that. We're going to head over to our table B, which was Seth Manfield versus Rusty Simonis.
Just one Mirari Conjecture.
Wow, I love it. Just the one of. All right, here we go. We're starting in game number 2. Seth Manfield up a game over Rusty. Poros aggro versus Golgari midrange. A sight I often walked through the tables to see at the Pro Tour.
One have been posted at the Black Gathering Point. 130 modern players.
Life totals 20 to 21 here,
Black Gathering Point.
but plenty of permanents on the table already for both players.
Yeah, and you can tell why Seth is at 21 life here. A Wild Growth Walker with 5 counters on it. That means he's taken quite a load of damage already.
Yeah, Rusty's got a bit of a presence here. We've got a History of Benalia poised to pop next turn. Benalish Marshall in play. Tecatli Honor Guard slowing things down for Manfield. And the City's Blessing.
Doom Whisperer, a really nice pull here. A powerful creature that circumvents the Tecatli Honor Guard. It can block that Sky Marcher Aspirant in the air, hold off basically anything, even on History of Benalia Chapter 3. So this is looking good for Manfield. And then one pattern that you'll often see at this stage of the game, if the Golgari player can get Doom Whisperer, is they can spend some life points and surveil to a board sweeper, like a Find Finality or a Ritual of Soot. and that's usually the knockout punch.
Chapter 3 here on the history fires off for Rusty. Wonder if he's running Rustwing Falcon.
Old Rusty.
Trusty Rusty. It's your namesake, Rusty. Come on. I can actually look. It's right now. I've got the deck list right here. No, he's got the Healer's Hawk. Oh, come on. History of Benalia to follow up the one that popped this turn for Rusty. Get another Knight. I'm one of those monsters that just loves almost nothing more than chaining History of Benalia's back-to-back. But he's just going to pass the turn back to Seth, who's going to pay a couple of life here and start surveilling with Doom Whisperer.
Seth's got to know if he can acquire a Find Finality, the game is over. It'll draw a concession from Rusty, particularly with the Planeswalker and the multiple creatures that are large enough to survive. But the question is just how much is he willing to risk in order to find it?
We saw a player risk quite a lot in an earlier round. Surveilled all the way down to 4. And in the end, it was their undoing. Speeding things up a little bit here as we head closer to round number 13.
So remember that Chupacabra is going to be shut off by Tocatli Honor Guard.
Vraska Relic Seeker is the play here for Seth.
So just at face value, he could kill the Honor Guard, acquire a treasure, use it to cast Ravenous Chupacabra, and effectively kill Rusty's 2 best creatures.
Looks like that might be his plan. Honor Guard down, sacrifice the treasure. There's the Chupacabra. Benalish Marshall hits the bin too. And Seth Manfield has turned the corner here.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at the stage in a game where you could attack for over 12 damage and you're just saying, you know what, I don't even need to.
Go.
That's when you know you're in good shape.
Okay, back over to Rusty. Chapter 2 on the history. Only 1 card left in hand, and here it hits the table. It's another Honor Guard. We're going to surveil here for Seth Manfield using that Doom Whisperer to find exactly what he needs. The elves are going to hit the bin. Untaps. What did he find? What was it, another Vivian Reed?
Sure, so he can destroy the Sky Marcher Aspirant, play another Vivian, plus there's really, you know, Seth can do no wrong from this position.
Yeah.
He can attack, he can defend, he can surveil, he can not surveil. There's no way he can have a bad turn from this position.
An embarrassment of riches here on Seth Manfield's side of the table. There's Vivian Reed, which replaced the one we just lost, and now we're going to go and find something. It's going to be a Jade Light Ranger. Made a pirate there with Vraska. Chapter 3 on history here over to Rusty's turn. These knights, pretty big, but that Wild Growth Walker is even bigger. Legion's Landing was what he had. And Manfield had a very comfortable 17 life after what looked to be like a pretty good set of cards from the Poros aggro player. Able to get it under control. And here's a big swing out from Rusty. Kind of have to. Chapter 3. Flip into Adonto the First Fort. Doom Whisper, easy block. Wild Growth Walker, easy block.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Seth might just be able to make some blocks, kill a blocker with Vraska, and then make a lethal attack next turn.
Yeah.
Perhaps not quite lethal, but he's getting close.
All right, here we go. A lot of carnage after that battle. Vraska takes up, finds some more cards here for Seth Manfield, who's at 14 after that attack, still a fine life total. The Honor Guard notably did survive. Until now, Vraska takes her down. There's Wild Growth Walker number 2, and there's Jade Light Ranger, finds a Druid of the Cowl, finds a Golden Demise. We'll leave that on top. Insurance plan.
Please report to the feature match area. Once again, feature matches
Gain a bunch of life. My creatures are huge.
Rusty really fighting the good fight here.
Yeah. You know what they say, always play it out. This is just brutal, though. Seth here choosing to attack with 3 creatures. Rusty can make a vampire.
He knows his creatures are biting the dust next turn due to that golden demise.
Yep. And honestly, there is nothing that Rusty can do in this situation. Here's Golden Demise. I have the City's Blessing. Scoop up your creatures. Doom Whisperer gets in. Pirate. In fact, all the creatures, except 1 Wild Growth Walker. And there is the handshake. Seth Manfield takes that match down 2 games to 0. Golgari mid-range, defeating Poros aggro. So Seth Manfield still in the mix for top 8 here. All right, more Magic coming up. Just a second. Don't go anywhere.